Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Audible.com, a leading provider of spoken audio information and entertainment. Listen to audiobooks whenever and wherever you want. Visit audible.com/twist for your free audiobook. And by Squarespace, an all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create a professional website and now an online store. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase on new accounts, go to squarespace.com and use the offer code TWIST. And by AWS Activate, the Amazon Web Services Startup Program. It's easy to start and scale your business with AWS. Visit aws.amazon.com/activate.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, and welcome to This Week in Startups. Today on the program, the winner of the Launch Festival 2014, Connect.com. They are building a social network that will pull together all your social networks, tell you where all your friends are in one place. It's a really fascinating product that's going to do very well. In fact, it's going to do so well that I invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in it from my angel fund. It's going to be a great interview. You're going to learn a lot about the new social networks that are out there and where all these social networks are headed. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah, money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah, we ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in Startups. It's your host, Jason Calacanis. You can find me on the Twitter at Jason, and you can find the show at TWI Startups. That's right, This Week in Startups. Hey, what do we do on this program, This Week in Startups? Well, we've been doing it for over 400 episodes, and it's pretty simple. I sit down every week with a founder or an angel investor, and I talk about building companies, startups, in the technology industry and outside of it. Who am I? Why should you care? I'm a serial entrepreneur who got lucky 2 or 3 times. I've invested in 70 companies, and I host the largest conference for startups in the world. It's called the Launch Festival. And I bring that up not to brag that 9,000 people came last year, and we'll break 10,000 this year, and it's in March, and it's the greatest conference held in the technology space. No, I'm not bragging about that. I bring it up very specifically because every year somebody wins the conference. 50 people get on stage and show new products. They launch new products. We've been doing it for 7 years. Companies like Dropbox, Mint, PowerSet, Brilliant.org, Space Monkey, Swipe, just tons, Fitbit, tons of great companies are in the alumni. Yammer, bought for $1 billion by Microsoft, David Sachs company. And last year, Connect.com, Ryan Allis, won the Launch Festival 2014. This was just how many months ago?
5 months ago.
5 months ago, you got on stage and boom, you win.
That's right.
For Connect.
Yes.
And you came to the party with a pretty robust product. It was in pretty good shape. Yep. Tell everybody, and let's just demo it right now, like just in the first minute of the program here. Tell everybody what Connect is and why they should care. Why should they download it from the App Store?
Absolutely. Connect is the ultimate tool for social connection. It is the new way to stay connected to all your friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I stay connected to my friends on Twitter, Facebook, Foursquare. The new Foursquare, I guess it's called Swarm. I got a bunch of different. I kind of like Swarm. I think it was kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Although I'm confused as to which one I should use.
Exactly.
That's the only thing I haven't figured out. Is like, why do I open Foursquare now? Is it like another?
Yeah, they've separated it out.
They've separated. It's kind of weird. But anyway, we'll get back to that. So how is it different than those apps? Let's just do a quick demo here. Show me.
Absolutely. I'll jump right in.
Yeah.
So the first thing you'll notice when you open Connect, we just passed 1 million downloads this week. Actually, 1 million users this week. 1.5 million downloads already.
Okay.
You're going to see all your friends on this beautiful map.
Got it.
Okay, so here's my friend Mari Carmen. She's at Alamo Square, and she just posted this photo on Instagram. So what Connect does, the metaphor Connect, is that it connects all your social networks into one place.
Got it. So I know that Instagram has location, like it puts the location under, if you click off location, clicks there. But this is not just Instagram, it's Instagram
Connect,
Plus.
Connect has Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Contacts, all your iPhone contacts, your Twitter, your Foursquare, and Instagram. So it's 7 networks, your phone, your email, and your social graph in one place.
Got it. So this is sort of like the meta, here are all the people. But what do I do with it once I know where they are? Because I mean, there is something to just knowing they're there, serendipity or something, right? So what's the use case, do you think?
So Connect has 2 parts to it. It has the map, which is great because when you're traveling, you can see where your friends live. So if I'm going, let's say you live in LA sometimes, I'm going to take a trip down to LA for the weekend. And I know some people from LinkedIn, I have people from Facebook, and the problem is there are too many networks and too many places to keep track of everybody.
Of course.
So here I am.
You have to hunt and peck into.
And there's no way I would be able to search all these places to see who I know in Santa Monica, in LA, in Hollywood. But now I can just go in, and here are all my friends near Inglewood, near Venice, and here they are. I'm taking a trip to Venice, and now I can reach out to my friend Scott, and I can actually send him a message, give him a call, send him an email. It's one app for all your communications.
Very interesting. So not only did you find out he's there, you have the ability to do the SMS, email right from there. You save a click or something.
Exactly.
And so you're just trying to consolidate all that communication and all of those, I guess, location information. It's kind of buried in all the other apps with the exception of Foursquare.
That's right. Social is about face-to-face human interaction.
Right.
It's not about reading BuzzFeed articles or cat videos.
Yeah.
You know, and what we're trying to do is bring social back to the real world where people can actually know when their friends are nearby.
Right.
Not in a creepy way where we're tracking GPS, but in a way that if a friend of yours posts on Connect, on any network that they are in somewhere nearby, that it'll let you know.
So it is also doing that proximity thing. I mean,
that's right.
Tell me about that, because that's something. I mean, you said the first use case is just looking at the map and finding your friends who are there. Is proximity the second use case, like that serendipity? Because there was this program called, I think, Highlight.
Yeah, Highlight was creepy. It showed the exact location of where Robert Scoble was every moment of every day.
Well, yeah, that's just a start. No offense to my good friend Robert Scoble, but knowing where you are every moment of every day is just not a great thing.
Exactly.
But what it did do that was promising, but it made me actually uninstall it because of this, was you kind of met new people.
Right.
So when I would drive home from Culver City to Brentwood, it would show me people along the way, but these were people who I didn't know.
Exactly.
So it was a little bit weird for me. And then as a super router in the network, somebody with a lot of followers, I didn't actually want to start conversations with people I didn't know and all that kind of stuff. Yep. And Highlight just didn't go anywhere. I don't think. Is that still around, Highlight?
Highlight's still around, but the difference with Connect is it's just the people you know, not the people you don't know.
So it's not to find new people. It's not to hook up.
This is not a
Tinder, Grindr.
This is about your relationships.
Right. Now, what do you think of those apps, like the sort of meet random people or meet people by proximity? Because it's a little bit dangerous.
There's so many of them.
There are a lot of them.
But broadcasting your exact GPS location to people you don't know is creepy, and people don't want that.
It's also incredibly dangerous.
Yes.
I mean, people don't want to talk about this issue, but Scout, which was an investment that I think, I'm not picking on the investment firm, but I think it was, I'm only bringing it up because it was a major investment by, I think, Mark Andreessen and those guys at Andreessen Horowitz.
Yeah.
I mean, it's resulted in, I don't mean to be a techno-alarmist, but proximity is extremely dangerous information. And what happened was young kids were using this, and according to the reports, we can look it up, 3 or 4 people, like 12, 13, 14-year-old boys and girls, were raped by predators who specifically targeted young people on the service. I don't think that proximity services should be used by anybody under the age of 18.
Right. So this is why Connect is about your friends and your existing relationships, not about meeting new people.
Yeah, it's just too dangerous.
And so we give you right here, these on the screen, you're able to see when your friends come from out of town.
Hey, let me see if I can get the reflector back up.
Yeah, that's no problem. Let me pull it back up.
Yeah, see if you can.
So right here, we give you location notifications, right? So you can see when out-of-town friends visit your area, which is great if someone from New York is in town.
I haven't seen this new feature yet.
Yeah, this just came out.
Cool.
When friends post near you, let's say you want a big radius because you live in Nebraska, you want a small radius because you live in downtown New York. Friends travel, and it gives you a notification whenever your friends are nearby.
So friends post near me. Yeah. If they're within a half a mile or a mile, it will send you an alert. Friends post near my city. So 5 miles from the center of San Francisco or something like that, they let you know.
Exactly.
Now, could it also let you know if it's out of town people? Because I don't want to know that the people I know in Los Angeles are in town. I want to know that Ryan from San Francisco is in town because I don't get to see him.
So that's this first one up here.
Oh,
it says out of town friends visit my area.
Got it.
And now we define that if someone from more than 200 miles away is in your city, you know.
Because that's the serendipity that I've been waiting for from a product.
Yep.
That's the pretty interesting one. Now, let me ask you a technical question. You're pulling in my location from 7 different locations.
Yeah.
So if my LinkedIn has, I used to live in New York, and my Facebook or Instagram says I now live in, or my Google Plus or whatever it happens to be, says I now live in Noe Valley in San Francisco, who wins in that? Because that seems like your data normalization has got to be a huge, crazy issue.
Absolutely. So we actually spent the first 18 months building this out, and we filed 2 patents on this. Data normalization across multiple social networks.
Oh, did I name it perfectly?
Perfect named.
Wow,
perfect
look at that buzzword bingo.
Data normalization is the next big thing.
Yeah.
And so we take all this big data coming into us from all these different pipes, and then we say that your home city, that comes from Facebook, it comes from LinkedIn, and it comes from Connect. Your current location, that can come from Instagram, that can come from Connect, that can come from your posts across any network, but only your friends have access to that information that you've chosen to share it with.
Got it. We have the one use case of, I just see my friends on a map. That's super cool. But that is, I kind of feel like that may get old a little bit for people.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have this one, which is like very targeted. That's not going to get old. Like my friends are near me. My out-of-town friends are near me. That's just like the holy grail. That really has anybody really done that well yet?
Nobody's done it well.
Yeah, I haven't seen, who's tried?
Well, it's all the way back to, I mean, you could go back to 2007 and 2008, Looped, and then you had Dodgeball, which became Foursquare.
Was also Sam
Altman from Y Combinator.
From Y Combinator did Looped. And he had this idea literally 8 years ago. And it was before location services really worked on phones.
The social network APIs weren't developed enough, and the smartphones weren't developed enough back then.
Yeah, he was so early. And now he's not an entrepreneur. He's just running Y Combinator. Very interesting.
That's right.
Somebody bought Loop. Google.
Yeah.
Did Google buy it? Somebody bought it.
Sure.
Then there was Dodgeball, I guess.
That's right.
Which was
Dennis's company.
Dennis Crowley before he did Foursquare. And I guess does Foursquare have this feature of showing you? Does Foursquare alert you that your friend's near you?
Foursquare will let you know if your friends are nearby. But the problem with Foursquare now, there are 2. One is that they got rid of the map.
Yeah, they did.
Why'd they get rid of the map?
I like the map.
The map is the beautiful part of it.
Yeah, it's so gorgeous, Yeah,
and then now you have to use 2 apps. One to check in.
They went to Swarm, I'm kind of liking Swarm. I'm trying to figure out when to use Foursquare, when to use Swarm. Because I find Swarm is almost like more socially, and then Foursquare is more like about the location. It's almost like one's the location. Now I kind of figured it out. One's like people, one's places. Yeah, well,
there was this great post on Medium this week from a Facebook product manager saying he was breaking up with Foursquare because you don't want to have to use one app for places and one app for checking in. You want to have one tool for all your interactions with people. And so that's what we're building.
When we get back from the partner break, I want to talk a little bit about the process of the launch festival. Is kind of self-serving, but also people want to know, like, how do you win it? And then also subsequent to that, I wound up investing, the launch fund wound up investing, and you became one of the first people to use the Angel List Syndicate program.
That's right.
And that was a conscious choice on your part as a serial founder who has had a big win under their belt and could actually fund the company themselves and who had a lot of venture interest. So when we get back from the break, I want to know not only what it was like to win the launch festival, but why you chose to do the Angel List Syndicate first when you didn't have to when we get back from these important messages. Hey, everybody. This is not a commercial. This is audible.com, which I love and have been using for years. I'm addicted to audiobooks. They're a partner of the program. And so it's so great to have them as a partner because I can just tell you what I'm listening to. And if you don't know what Audible is, just go to audible.com. You can download it on your iPhone as well or your Android phone. It's audiobooks. But you can get subscriptions, you can get free, audiobooks, you can get a platinum subscription. There's all different options. But what you're going to be able to do is go to audible.com/twist today. So while I'm talking about the book and the recommendation I want to give you, just go to audible.com/twist and you'll get a free book, which is pretty amazing, 30-day free trial, because they know that, hey, people who are fans of the show are going to love Audible because you're listening to a podcast. So you obviously like Audible words, you like listening, and you like learning. Now, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team is an amazing, amazing book that I've literally listened to twice. And it really gives you a really great overview of how to run a team. And we got to get the author of this book, Patrick, on the program. We should make a note of that. But anyway, I'm going to tell you what these 5 things are in terms of the 5 dysfunctions of a team. They're an absence of trust, like the members have to trust each other, a fear of conflict, people debating stuff, a lack of commitment, i.e. they really want to win, or they're going home at 4 o'clock or leaving the office and going for a 3-hour gym break, avoidance of accountability, as in like nobody's specifically in charge of something, and not paying attention to results, actually looking at what happened, right? And when I build my companies or work with startups, I really work on this. Like, hey, does the team trust each other? And are they able to argue and fight over details of what they should do at the launch festival or inside.com's interface or com.com or Uber? Are they really able to debate stuff? And are they committed to actual results? And do they have accountability for those results? Is somebody in charge of every aspect of succeeding? And so this is an amazing book. It's my pick of the week. Go get it. It's extraordinary. The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. And then there's another follow-up to it. They're both wonderful. Get both. Go to audible.com/twist, audible.com/twist, and get your 30-day free trial. Thank you at Audible. And hey, we're having a contest. After you sign up, email your sign up to audible@launch.co, and we'll enter you to win an iPad mini signed by me. Audible@launch.co. Get a free iPad mini signed by me, or get put in a contest for that. All right, let's get back to this amazing program. Thanks, Audible. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to This Week in Startups. It's Jason Calacanis. I'm your host. I'm a serial entrepreneur and angel investor. And on the program today, Ryan Allis, who is the founder of Connect.com. You can go check out Connect.com by typing one word, Connect.com into your browser. Another great domain name. You know, guys, I'm a sucker for a great domain name. And you can just type Connect into the App Store and download it and start playing with it. It's a really phenomenal application, which I actually invested in. Thank you for letting me invest. And you chose, after winning the Launch Festival, I made a commitment, hey, whoever wins the Launch Festival, I'll invest in their company. And you won, and I made that commitment and put a little bit of money into the company. And then you decided you wanted to try this AngelList Syndicate program. So tell me why you wanted to do that, and explain to the audience and the founders who might not know what it is, or what it's like, Connect is a relationships company. Yeah. So the more great investors we have invested in the company, the better. We were able to, in our seed round that we closed, that you led in June, closed $3 million from 150 accredited investors, and 100 of which came from your syndicate. Right. So why is that important? You sort of hinted at it, but on a practical basis, why is it important to have a large number of investors, but all represented by one group? Sure. 2 reasons. One is that in the SEC rules, you can only have a certain number of investors before you have to go public. Right now, it's about 500. Yeah. So you don't want to bring in... It might be 1,000 soon or something. It might be increasing it with the Jobs Act. Yeah. But nonetheless, you have to have a simple way to bring together the capital. And as an entrepreneur, you don't want to be tracking down a guy for $10,000 if you're trying to raise a few million. Right. And so what AngelList does is they handle all the wires, they handle all the communications, and then they give you one shareholder, which is an LLC that they bring together, that they get the capital together. So that $600,000 from you and your syndicate was tremendously helpful to our $3 million round. Yeah, and that was interesting because you didn't have to do the syndicate. Right. Because let's face it, you did your last company. There was a $300 million exit or something. Not quite, $170 million. $170 million, I'm sorry. So you had a $170 million exit in your last company, which was iContact. Yep. Which is not completely dissimilar to this project. It was for B2B email marketing. Yeah, so it's different, but they both revolve around people and contacts. That's right. You is this kind of like your thing? Communication is my thing, helping people communicate. Yeah, so you kind of locked into that. And did the syndicate process, how did it match your expectation of how it was going to go? Because this is very new. In fact, it's 2014 at the taping of this. Yep. I think these only started this year. That's right. And I think Gil Pincina, who's on the program previously, and myself and Tim Ferriss and Scott and Cyan Bannister were really the only people who've really done them so far that I know of. Naval's done a great job setting up the AngelList Syndicate program. I actually, after selling iContact, went to HBS for the first half of an MBA and then dropped out of Harvard to start Connect with my co-founder Anima here in San Francisco. And so I studied sort of finance. We had raised $50 million at iContact. We had a good exit. Now I'm sitting here in class 2 years ago studying this stuff. To actually be able to do one of the first AngelList syndicates with you was an amazing experience and so helpful to us. Yeah, so it lived up to the billing, and it seems to be, Naval seemed to got it seems to have figured out a way to have it go very quickly.
Yeah.
That's what I was sort of impressed by.
Yep.
It felt like, oh my God, this is going to be complete chaos because 350 or so people decided to back the syndicate. Only 99 are going to get slots.
Yep.
One person wants to put in 1,000. Another person wants to put in 50,000. I mean, this is going to be bedlam. But it all seemed to like flow pretty seamlessly over 2 weeks, or maybe it took 10 days.
2-3 weeks, yeah.
So what did the other investors think when you told them you were doing the syndicate? Did that make other investors, because you did meet with some VCs, I think. I introduced you to a couple of friends, and you have a couple of friends in the VC business. Were they concerned, dismayed, threatened, fascinated by you choosing that?
They were fascinated because it's new. Mm-hmm. And in the Valley, relationships matter. Mm. And whether it's recruiting, whether it's M&A on the buy side or the sell side down the line, whether it's raising our next round of capital, the more smart, capable, connected people that you have backing you rather than your competitor, the better.
Right. So the fact that there's 100 there, we can email that 100 through the AngelList system at any time and say, hey, the new version's out. Hey,
we're recruiting an engineer. And
they're all going to have a motivation. Like, hey, Ryan, I got $10,000 in this. Maybe I'll help him find the next engineer, or I have an idea, or I happen to know somebody at IBM who might need this software, and blah, 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 blah. There's a partnership here and all that kind of stuff. So let's walk through the festival and sort of launching at the festival. Again, you had funded this company yourself.
That's right.
And so you didn't actually need to launch at one of these events either, but you made a conscious choice to do the event. Yep. What was the thinking there?
The thinking there is that we wanted to get on a stage and have a moment for both internal focus, so that it drove our development process to have an outcome, and for an external opportunity to talk to press. And if you just, announce, hey, we're launching, no one's going to really pick up on that unless you're a well-known entrepreneur and who's done it many times. But if you actually want to get out and get a Value Bag article, a TechCrunch article, we got about 5 or 6 articles at launch, one at Forbes, that all came through the launch festival.
Yeah. So the thing that interests me most there is, you're going to get press if you do events, but the interesting one is the rallying the team to hit a date and to, actually perform and have like a date in mind for where we're all heading towards.
Yep.
Talk about that a little bit. Like, what was that like? Did you tell the team, like, hey, listen, we're 172 days out from here? Did you have a big whiteboard with how many days out?
We actually did, yeah. In our development room, we tracked it down from 100 days down to 0. And every CEO needs credibility behind their made-up deadlines. Because you all know our deadlines are made up.
Yeah,
but it's like, why?
This needs to be done by Tuesday.
Exactly.
You put the spit in the air, Wednesday.
So what a festival does is say, you know what, I'm going on stage and I'm showing 10,000 people what we're doing here.
Yeah.
We got to have this to be done. It has to be quality.
Right. So let's look a little more at the product. We had this use case of like, I looked at the map, I see all my people across 7 social networks. Then you had the second one, which is, hey, if somebody happens to come to town, I'm going to get an alert. Yep. I love that. Yep. And that's a new feature. I'm sure people are probably geeking out on that. Yep. What else is important here?
Yeah, well, we got this activity feed that sort of looks like Instagram, where I can see all the photos of what my friends are up to. So you have the map, which is nice. But look, check out my friend Uzoma from business school. He's in Rome right now. That came from Facebook. Kurt's across the street at Square. I know Kurt from North Carolina. Kurt is...
he's a Foursquare user, it looks like.
Yeah, he's a Foursquare user, but we're able to bring all that in. We share our data back to Foursquare. We share our data back to Facebook, and it's just an API ecosystem.
Yeah, that was actually the next question I had, which is, how do all these services that are being aggregated together feel about being aggregated together into this new product? They all have APIs, but I know like some people like Facebook or others have been persnickety. Sometimes they turn somebody's API access off.
Yeah, so the key thing is maintaining privacy and only allowing the friends to have the rights to see the content. The second thing is giving back data. And so as long as we're giving check-ins and posts and photos back to Facebook, which is exactly what we're doing, then Facebook can monetize that in their newsfeed. So it's a win-win for both parties.
So you have to make sure, hey, the people on the other side of the equation, we're getting some value here. Yep. We got the picture from Rome. Let's make sure that we give them something back.
Yeah, and we'll give them just as many pictures from Rome or wherever as our users travel around the world.
Got it. And what about the contacts? I know contacts are something that are a big passion of yours. Like I have this huge issue now with my contacts in terms of syncing them. I never know what to do in terms of syncing all my contacts together because Facebook wants to be in my address book.
Yeah.
Then I have LinkedIn wants to sync my address book.
Your address book's a mess.
Google wants to do it. And
to
I can't figure out what the hell's going on in my address book anymore. And I'm in the industry.
That's right. So over a lifetime, a human being will meet 20,000 people.
Wow.
Someone like you might meet 100,000 people, maybe more. And the data goes out of date. People change jobs, and you can't keep track of it. And then you have 5 different devices, your laptop, your phone, your tablet, your web. So we sync and back up all your data, protect it for you for life.
Right.
And right on your phone, here it is. This is, always there. I can be able to call someone, message someone, email someone, pull up their profile, see everything they're doing, add them to lists. So we are able to bring together in one place your unified, deduped, backed up contacts.
So you're deduping it and consolidating it.
Exactly.
So in a way, like, would this phone book be better than the phone book I'm maintaining myself on my iPhone or my BlackBerry?
The great thing about it is on your device, this syncs with that.
So it will be synced.
So if you edit somebody's info on your device, it goes here. If you edit it here, it goes there.
How do you deal with the collisions that are inevitably going to happen? Because we talked about data normalization before. So I have, let's say you had my old 310 phone number. I got a new 213, and I forgot.
That was the second patent. That was what we filed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you called both of them. One was data normalization across location, and one was data normalization across contact info.
Got it.
You need to know what's the most recent, what's correct, how to get in touch with them, and that's what we've done.
And do the systems tell you to any degree of certainty when the number was added or anything like that? Like, would my phone book know that I added the 213 number this February, but the 310 number first came up 3 years ago? Like, I'm just trying to get my head around how you would actually pick the winner.
So in the midterm, our plan on how we're going to do this, and I'll just give you my secret here from technological background.
Yeah.
Once you have 100 million plus people using the platform, over 1 million now, what starts to happen is that within the phone graph, we're building a graph of all the phone graph. We actually know what the right phone number is.
Got it.
And that's how we can sync it for the people that already have the phone number in their phone book.
So if I have 2 numbers, and one of them is like being deprecated and one of them is the primary, you can look at my number's usage in people's phone books.
That's right.
And if you had both of them, you could tell which is the winner.
That's right.
But if you didn't have the new one, you're not going to give me the new one.
No.
Obviously.
That's right.
You're just going to say, like, hey, let's pick the winner.
That's right.
All right. So this is all fascinating. It's very elegant, and obviously some number of people are enjoying using it. You've hit scale already, which is kind of phenomenal for a 5-month-old product. But when we get back from the commercial break, I want to talk about how did you hit scale, and then is there a revenue model in here somewhere when we get back from this important message? Hey, everybody. I want to take a moment just to tell you about Squarespace. Squarespace is the easiest way to create a beautiful, exceptional looking website. I know this because we use it day in and day out for all of the launch festival, launch scale, all the events I do. And actually, now that I have the launch fund, a proper angel investing fund, I realized the other day that we don't actually have a website for that. And I was like, let's just find a beautiful Squarespace template and put one up. And I can do it myself. So I was literally looking through the gorgeous templates. And all the templates are responsive, so they work on mobile. So your iPad, your iPhone, your Android phone, it just works. And they have 24-hour support. It's easy to use. It's super plug and play. And they constantly add new features. Go to squarespace.com and try it for free. No credit card is required. And it starts at only $8 a month, which is absurdly cheap. But the service is absolutely first class. So don't let that price scare you. It is literally worth $80 a month, or even like $1,000 a year I would pay, because it's just perfect, flawless hosting. It never goes down. It's always up and running. And it's just, I can have non-technical people go and upgrade the website, and they constantly add new features, which is one of the great things of software as a service, which is what Squarespace does, is it just provides you this service of beautiful looking websites. You can keep changing stuff, and they keep adding features. So if some new feature comes out, like, hey, Twitter's out, we need to put a Twitter button or syndicate our Twitter feed, they're going to have all those widgets and plugins and everything just built into the platform. If you choose to keep your Squarespace.com trial, use the promo code TWiST and you'll save even more. Squarespace is everything you need to create an exceptional website. And anybody in your family, anybody in your circle, so if you need to pop up a website really quick and you want it to look gorgeous for a restaurant, for a small business, for a big business, for an angel investing fund that's incredibly high profile, just go to Squarespace.com. Use the promo code TWiST. Thanks again to our friends at Squarespace, and go ahead and thank them. Thank you at Squarespace on Twitter. Okay, let's get back to this amazing program. Hey, everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups. And by the way, I'm sitting here in my gorgeous, beautiful, not cheap studio at WeWork in San Francisco. What's WeWork? Go to WeWork.com and you'll see it's beautiful office sharing suites. You just pay $500 or so bucks a month to get a desk, or a little bit more to have an office with a couple of desks in it. I use it myself. I got 10 people here at WeWork in San Francisco on Taylor Street and Market. And it's an amazing, amazing place. I would absolutely tell you to come work in the same building as myself. However, this place is so good and nobody leaves that it's sold out. So it's kind of ridiculous that WeWork is, in partnership with me now because the place is so sold out. But you know what? They love sponsors. Startups, and they just want to support the show because they love the fact that This Week in Startups features all kinds of great startups, including I got 3 or 4 investments in the building. Like my investments are like, hey, when you're in town, come by WeWork. I'm like, WeWork.
It's here. I'm here.
On 25 Taylor? Yeah, I'm there. Yeah. All right, listen, when I left our hero, we were talking about 2 things, growth and business model. Take whichever one you want to take first.
Yeah. We are at the early stages of a once-in-a-species level mobile phone revolution.
Right.
And we're going to go from 2 billion smartphones right now to 5 billion smartphones in the next 60 months.
Wow.
This is 5 years.
Right.
We're going to live through this.
And then that'll be what number of people on the planet, right?
There's about 7.3 billion or so.
So basically,
pretty much everybody person over 13 on the planet is going to have a smartphone in 5 years.
Wow.
And this is great because we have a more connected, more transparent world.
Right. So it's awesome. None of us would deny that. So is that a long way of saying, hey, it's a revolution, let's just do the land grab and not worry about monetization for a while?
We want to be the best way to connect socially with your friends and contacts.
Got it.
Period.
Yeah.
And we believe that Facebook, WhatsApp, WeChat, Instagram, they've already proven the ability to generate revenue from having daily users.
Right. So if you just get the daily users up at some point, you'll turn on monetization the same way Instagram just started.
Yep. But hopefully not through ads, though. I think there's some value-add services that might actually relate to people connecting in the real world. If 2 people need to meet up, well, you need a place. Maybe a restaurant, maybe a bar, maybe you need an event space.
Right. Got it.
Maybe you need a car to get there.
Gotcha. So there's all kinds of, affiliate revenue, call it, or commission-based revenue that could be layered into here. I mean, I don't think the ride-sharing services now will give a commission if you book somebody, but theoretically in the future you could see a Lyft or a sidecar trying to catch up with an Uber and doing
it. This is how WeChat in China now is making money.
Tell me about that. Yeah, tell me about WeChat.
So if you have 400 million users, it's the WhatsApp of Asia, basically, and they have been able to not do ads, but instead have value-added services. It's the biggest messaging app. And one of the things that Connect is doing, it's down the line becoming a messaging tool. So it's not just about seeing where your friends are. It's actually being able to communicate with them inside the app. So that's where we're going later this year.
Got it. And so WhatsApp bought for
19 billion.
19 billion. So it was bought for basically an Uber or a Tesla.
WeChat is owned by Tencent, which is worth over $100 billion.
Wow. So this is big, big stakes.
Yeah.
But WhatsApp had a kind of a business model. Weren't they charging $1?
Charge $1 a year.
What did you think of that? I found that kind of bizarre, but then somebody told me that some large number of people had paid it. Do you know?
$300 million in annual revenue from that, which just means 300 million paid users is what I heard. However, they got bought for 19 billion, not because of their 300 million in annual revenue, but because they had 400 million active users.
So what did you think of that dollar thing? Like, did people have to pay that, or is that optional, or is like...
After the first 12 months is the way they did it.
Wow. So if you were truly addicted, you paid $1.
A year, after the first year.
After the first year, which is so little, it's absurd.
300 million people did it.
It's that 300 million
I think they made a mistake in charging, frankly.
Really? You think they would have grown faster?
They would have grown faster had they not had that barrier.
That's fascinating. You think they actually could have gone faster?
Yeah.
Huh. And so do you see yourself as more analogous to WhatsApp and WeChat, or more analogous to the Foursquares and
that's such a great
of the
question.
world? Yeah. And as an entrepreneur, do you even give a shit?
What we are driven by is a mission of helping people stay connected.
Right.
And so whether that's by communication tools or by being able to see a map of your friends and get notifications, we're building a contextually aware application for helping you stay connected.
Okay. So you can always point back to the mission. But do you have chat in there now? Can I chat with you?
You can do SMS, but not in-app chat, but that's coming.
Oh, okay. So that will be the killer feature, won't it? Because then all of a sudden, now is that going to trigger some kind of what is that? How does that change the business when you add like messaging inside of it?
Yeah, well, we already have messaging. Like from any profile, you can send, you can call, that 20th century thing. You can email, that 1990s thing. You can send an SMS, which is great. But of course, in the developing world, where the majority of our users are outside the United States, USA is our biggest country, right? But it's only 20% of our users. Wow. We have 80% of our users outside the United States. Wow. SMS is not free. So you need a way to send a message to somebody that's free. And you look at things like Skype, you look at things like WeChat, some of Facebook Messenger now has VoIP calling. We see this as a phone. We see this as the next generation in communication.
All inside the app.
All inside one tool.
Inside one tool. So if you have data service inside one tool, you could make a VoIP call, you could make video call, you could text messages.
We're playing around with a lot of ideas, but the point of Connect is anything to stay connected to people. All
right, so you've had great growth.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about how you got to the great growth. I know you're featured by Apple at one point, and then you're saying 80% of it's outside the U.S., so
that's right.
Hundreds of thousands. Is that a specific strategy to say like, hey, the U.S. is kind of saturated, let me make this model work in a couple of other countries?
The USA is by far and away our biggest country. Of our million users, 200,000 are in the USA. Right. But the thing that is the reality is that the USA is only 5% of the world's population. Right. And so we have, a lot more users in the USA than proportional. There's so much smartphone growth right now in emerging markets. The opportunity, we are a top 10 social app in 65 countries around the world right now. Wow. Top 10 social app in 65 countries. And so what happens when you get downloaded that many times, 25,000 downloads a day now, when you get downloaded that many times, you start getting higher in the organic rankings. We haven't even launched the Android app. That's coming out this fall. High in the organic rankings, which then gets you more downloads.
Got it.
Yeah.
And so does all this paid download stuff work and being featured? I mean, a lot of people listen to the program. Like we're experimenting a little bit with it at Inside. Like, hey, could you buy some downloads? And like we're doing it on Facebook. It seems pretty clever on Facebook. You can pick specific demographics and put ads against them. And I think Twitter's got a new product now where you're going to be able. I don't know if that one's. Yeah, cost per install. I don't know. Is that out even yet?
They actually made it live 2 weeks ago. It's live.
Oh, they did?
They launched it.
Have you tested that yet or no?
We test everything, right? Right. I think, so we got to 1 million users in 5 months. Yeah. It took Facebook 10 months to get to 1 million users. Now, this was 10 years ago when there weren't as many users out there using, and that was on the web, and this was on mobile. We are seeing that anytime there's an opportunity to get someone into the app, that will then start posting what they're doing, sharing their location, chatting with their friends. It creates a viral loop that then gets a lot more organic rankings. And so the first thing for us is, well, there's so many apps that are beautiful, but they die with 20,000 users. And so you have to just get out there. Gotcha. And we've tested cost per install. We've tested all kinds of things. Whatever it takes to be able to get a quality user who's going to engage with your app that then gets you more organic users, it's worth it.
That's the viral loop, the what do they call the formula?
The K factor, the viral coefficient.
Yeah, so if somebody didn't understand what that viral coefficient K factor was, explain it to the audience.
It's very simple. It's a very simple,
but important.
A viral coefficient is 1 when on average a user sends you one more user who ends up signing up. Gotcha. And if you can get that above 1, then it's very, very, very fast growth.
So if one user gets you 1, that's good.
Yep, that's actually really good.
That's really good.
Because then that one user you just got is going to get you another one who gets you 1. But if you can get every user to give you 1.5, that's the viral loop.
Gotcha. And so what did Instagram or WhatsApp have? Because this has been studied as a science, I think, pretty much.
It's a science that comes from epidemiology, the study of sort of viral transmission in human bodies. Yeah,
we're talking about literal viruses.
Yeah, exactly.
Not viral like
Center for Disease Control stuff. This is where it came from.
Planet of the Apes stuff.
They don't. I haven't seen the numbers, but what I've heard is that if you can get above 1.2, that's great. You can get above 1.5, that's amazing. And
where's
peak,
The Walking Dead at? Like, is that that's like a 2.5 or something? The Walking Dead is like everybody becomes a zombie and it just dies. Oh, right. Like society ends.
Well, eventually there's only so many mobile users in the world.
Right, exactly. Well, it's kind of like, we laugh, but in a way, Facebook has reached a saturation point, hasn't it?
It's yes, and they've reached saturation in the United States.
Yeah, and in Germany and some other places, I believe, right?
Globally, still a lot of growth.
Right. Yeah. But they, in a certain sense, if you do this perfectly with this K factor and get your viral loop,
eventually it declines.
Eventually it starts to decline. It's got to be kind of depressing until you realize, like, my God, if you've got 160 million Americans, like that's it.
Right. Yep. And one of the biggest challenges with Facebook is that it's a closed social network that requires your friends to be on it to get any value. So if you're trying to build a group, you're trying to communicate with your friends, Facebook doesn't have everybody on it.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. So what do you have to prove to sort of get to the next round of funding? You raised $3 million. I'm assuming $3 million takes you out, I don't know, a year or two? Is that typically a year? So a year from now, or 9 months from now, or 6 months from now, whatever, you're going to go start talking to VCs. What do you think they need to see from a company that's raised $3 million? Because you're sort of now getting, I guess, to what would be a B round.
Yeah. Well, we haven't done a Series A officially. We did a seed round. And that's
but $3 million for a seed, like back in the day when you and I were starting, that would be considered an A.
That's true. That's
so
true.
What do you actually consider it?
So I put in $2.5 million before we even did the seed.
Right.
And so we're $5.5 million in at this point.
Right.
We've got good cash in the bank, and we're actually starting to raise the A now.
Right.
In the fall.
So you're raising an A, having raised $5.5 million already.
That's right.
So it's kind of the world's changed a little bit, but what do you need to prove? Putting that aside, like after $5 million invested, what should Connect look like to those people?
There are really three things. It's, are your users coming back and engaging with the application on a daily basis? Right. And so there's certain daily user ratios that investors look for in consumer mobile.
What are they? Like, what would they be for different products?
Sure. Oftentimes you will look at the daily actives divided by the monthly actives.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And if you can get that above 25%, in other words, of your monthly actives, more than 1/4 use it on a daily basis, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah. So if you had 10,000 people a month using your app, and 2,500 used it in a day, you could be very proud.
That'd be a good DA.
But if 1,000 used it, if one out of 10,000, you would feel bad? Or
it's not that you would feel bad. It's just that you might not raise a Series A from Sequoia yet. You would improve the app, figure out what the features you need. You get that up. Because the best apps, Facebook, 70% of their users use it daily.
That's crazy.
That's what I've heard. It's a very high number.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But you can only really get that with a communication platform, I think, right?
That's what we're building.
Exactly. I mean, I feel like such an idiot building a news app. It's like, God, can I get that many people in a day? I think our DAO to MAU ratio is more like, I'm trying to figure it out right now on the fly. It's more like 15%. So 12, 15%.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. You know what the problem is? It's a good question for me to ask you since you're kind of knowledgeable about this stuff. Is like, how does one make a product more viral if it's not a communication product?
Yeah. So the problem is that too many people have tried to trick their users into spamming their friends with a worthless app.
Right.
That's not how you do it. That's how you did it in 2011.
I know. And like this Tango and Glide would spam me because I'm so...
You're in everybody's address book.
I'm not saying I'm so popular. I'm so frequently, as you're saying, in people's address books or in their social networks that I just become like what they call a super router, I guess, in the network. But I was getting spammed just mercilessly by Tango and Glide specifically.
So I'm not saying this is easy, but what you have to do is in the process of using the application, create value for both your user and the person they're sending it to.
So what would you do if you were my shoes? Like you're in Inside and I don't mean to make this about me, but you're smart, so I get some free advice here. Inside.com, and they're reading a story about what's going on in Gaza, or they're reading a story about Star Wars. Yeah. How do I make it viral?
Well, there's the obvious basic stuff like send this article to a friend, or I'm thinking on the fly here.
Yeah, think on the fly. How do I make this viral?
What you want, I'll tell you from a principles level. Let me see if I can deduct it. So what you want is to do something like what Dropbox did, which is when I give an invite to somebody, they get more storage and I get more storage.
Right.
So you have to find out what the unit of value creation is in your news app. Maybe it's information or something. Yeah. So what you could do is let's say there's an article about software that comes up in your app in Inside. Yeah. What you could do is have a button to say share with relevant people. Right? And then anyone who is in that person's address book who is a software engineer, it would select them and say, send a message to all your friends who are software engineers about this article about software engineering. Right. And then it would send it one by one in personal notes from that person saying, hey, I was thinking of you when I read this, and it sends to 10 people. And so if there's a way to create a saved list or a way to create chatting or commenting about the articles.
See, that's interesting that you bring that up because that's the one thing that we came to recently in a meeting about growth was, hey, maybe people want to take this news story and then discuss it with their friends. Like, because there is this behavior of like, I send it to my friend, but what if we want to discuss it?
Yep.
And that seems to be where the magic happens, is people can like,
news discussion.
Something like that.
Commenting is a big thing there.
Yeah. I'm trying to get people to comment more. One of the things is if you, the really problem with commenting, I find, is like with open commenting systems, is the people who comment are the people you don't want to hear from.
True.
And so that's where I think like the personal commenting, like it's in a way Snapchat is that, right? Like, you know, it's like, it's private. So then the people who are smart or normally wouldn't participate in public will come out of their shell a little bit.
That's right.
So you get the more interesting people are willing to take more risk on it. So what do you think of the Snapchats of the world, the whispers, the secrets? I wonder, since you're studying this space, take me through those three that are very frequently talked about.
That's right.
Snapchat, whisper, secret. I'm an investor in one, whisper.
Yeah.
But tell me what you think of each of those in communication-wise and what they represent, because they're becoming very popular, right?
What I'm seeing is that there are a lot of niche apps that allow you to do one thing.
Yeah.
And I think that when people separate basic features into a different application, that is the wrong trend. And everyone in Silicon Valley is building these discrete use case apps that are very annoying, that you have to change apps to do something else. And we talked about Foursquare and how they're separating the swarm. They shouldn't have done that. They should have kept it in Foursquare, and they should have just improved Foursquare and made it more contextually aware. When you look at Snapchat, Snapchat's interesting, but the problem is now I'm building another social network. Yeah. Right? In which I communicate with some of my friends. I'm 29, about to be 30, but I have friends who are in their 20s that send me snaps, and I'm like, great. Now I have to check Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I have to check 5 or 6 different places just to hear from my friends. We need a layer that is a metagraph on top of that, and that's what we're building. And your
friends under 30 are on Snapchat, and your friends above 30 are on Twitter.
My friends under 27 are on Snapchat.
Really? So you can actually demarket even more concisely.
I don't have a single friend over 27 on Snapchat.
Was just, at lunch today, I was talking about Snapchat, and I'm trying to get into it a little bit. Yeah. And literally nobody except Shervin and Sarah Lacey are on Snapchat who are adults.
Right.
Literally, that's it. I have a ton of my employees who are on it. Yeah. I see my employees. I don't follow them. I don't want to know what they're sharing on their stories on Snapchat. That's going to get...
Snapchat's great for the 15 to 21 use case, but the problem is once you get out of college, all your friends go all over different places. Right. And so then you need a single tool that brings all that information together.
Do you think the Snapchat, though, will become... Like, as those people become older, you really think they're going to give it up, or you think it's going to be like have staying power and people will be sharing their kid videos?
It depends how Evan evolves the Snapchat model.
Right.
If Spiegel can set it up so that it enables you to bring in your Facebook info, to bring in your email, that's great. But if it's just another closed limited social network that just for young people, people will outgrow it.
Why do you think Twitter's not growing? I'm going to jump off of the whisper and the secret. I'll go back to those. But what do you think Twitter's issue is? Because I spend all day on Twitter. You spend a ton of time on Twitter. It seems to me that all the intelligent, powerful, artistic, notable people are on Twitter.
Yeah, well, I'll debate your premise. I think Twitter is growing. Their revenues are up.
The revenues for sure. Yeah, Adam Bain is crushing it. That was the New York Times story. It was like Twitter may not be growing in terms of users that much, but the revenue's going off the
And I think that's the thing. And what I believe is true is that Twitter is growing their active users. They're just not growing them as fast as other services.
Got it.
Right? But the big thing Twitter's just come out with is this cost per install ads. And I'm spending money on that. A lot of ad dollars are going into cost per install because I can reach people at a low cost and get them to download our app.
Yeah. So there's something definitely there. Well, what do you think, though, of the fact that like civilians don't seem to participate in Twitter as much as they do Instagram and Facebook?
Yeah. What's nice about Instagram is it requires a photo.
Yeah.
You can say 1,000 words in a photo. Right. And that's how Instagram killed it 3 or 4 years ago. They did a great job on making that limitation. Twitter's gotten better at becoming more visual. They now have photos. They have Vine, a separate product for short videos, of course. A lot of people use Vine that are out there. I think that Twitter should re-architect its structure, maybe through another product as a test, so that it's not another public social network. Basically, Twitter gives you two options. You're either publicly broadcasting or you're privately sharing. That's great. But it has no sense of visual, contextual nature. I have no idea if people are nearby or not. And I know I'm basically saying build connect. And I don't want to tell people to build connect. But I'm saying if you could put Twitter on a map and then be able to see the people you actually know and import your address book and have all your contacts and make if I can make a call through Twitter, now that would be cool.
Yeah.
But now I got to use 7 different things just to make a call or send an email or.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, it almost feels like you're saying in a very delicate way that Instagram did well because people, on average, are not good writers.
They like photos, yeah.
It's very generous of you. So the way I would say it is people can't fucking write. And so they need to put a photo. It's like easier, like the average Joe can just take a picture and be like, beer, as opposed to making a witty retort in 140 characters about beer. Yeah. I feel like the smart kids in the class, like the clever, linguists are going over here to Twitter, and then like everybody else is over here just snapping photos.
Twitter's a great broadcasting platform for people like you and me. Yeah. It's wonderful. It's nice to have 100,000 followers plus that you can send a thought out to. Yeah. But it's not the way that I'm going to share with my 50 friends that matter.
Ah, that's interesting.
And that's what other tools are
trying to do. All right, let's go to the controversial ones now in the social space. You have Whisper, which for people who don't know, you can share anonymously a photo with a little bit of text on it. Yep. It's proximity-based, but it doesn't use your address book in any way. Yep. And then you have the one that people are very concerned about or is very polarizing, which is Secret, which takes your phone book, uploads it. When you share a secret anonymously, it goes to the people in your phone book so that you can, in the worst case, slander, lie about somebody or tell a secret about somebody and not get caught. Yep. So it's very, very controversial. What do you think of those two different modes?
I am unequivocally not a fan of Secret.
Okay.
And
so explain why.
I'm more mixed on Whisper. So the problem is the curation, okay, and the intentionality of examples. And when you have an app that, for whatever reason, is causing people in high school to get bullied, that's causing publicly available information or non-publicly available information about publicly traded stock. I don't know if you saw that the Yahoo purchase of Flurry broke a few hours early illegally in a way that could have caused an insider trading issue. And now the SEC is going to have to go in and figure out who sent that because they broke
So they're going to subpoena.
I don't know. I'm just saying it's illegal.
I mean, it's a very good point you make, Ryan. Yeah. The right thing to do right now is to subpoena Secret. The SEC or Yahoo could sue Secret. Yep. I don't see Yahoo doing because it might be unpopular. Yeah. But the SEC certainly, if somebody was trading on insider information or releasing insider information,
I don't think Secret's going to have an issue. I think the user who shared illegal information is going to have the problem.
If Secret gives that name up, it would be the first instance in where the Secret veil of anonymity would be lifted. Now, do you think that, and I'm not sure how technically briefed you are and how Secret works, but do you think the person who posted that has true anonymity in there, or do you think that—
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, there is ways to track that. There are ways to track that back. Yeah. And there will be smart hackers that unveil all those secrets, guaranteed, in the next 24 months.
Really?
Either that or and certainly anything that's illegal is going to be subpoenaed.
So when they have that button that says, like, take me off of my old secrets, you don't think that actually will work?
I'm not sure. I don't know how it's technically set up. I just know that if you're sharing anything illegal, or if you're sharing anything that just hurts another person, that's, even if it's not illegal, that's just ethically wrong.
Right. No, certainly ethically wrong. I'm just sort of getting to the practicality of what happens, because we did see this before with FormSpring.
Never share anything that you don't want attributed to you in the New York Times front page.
Exactly. So FormSpring wound up tragically having, and a couple of my friends invested in it, and they confided to me in how much they regretted that investment when children who were bullied started killing themselves. Yeah. It's like very heavy stuff. And like the craziness of how FormSpring worked was you would submit the question anonymously to the person, and then the person would have to choose to answer the question. And so people would say, why are you such a slut to a girl who had had sex with somebody, and then 20 people would do the same thing, and then they would literally kill themselves. Yeah. But before they would kill themselves, they would feel the need at the age of 14 or 15 or 16, my God, it's so horrific to even think about, that they would have to answer these anonymous questions for some reason to try to defend themselves. So they would then take the anonymous, and they would make it public. And then the guys at Secret hired the PR person who did FormSpring. To which I said, if you're hiring the PR person, marketer, who dealt with the Foursquare suicides, might that tell you something about what you're building?
The Formspring suicides,
The Formspring suicides.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to avoid suicide in your app, by hiring the person who worked at the company that had the most suicides in another anonymous app.
And you know what? They could change this through app design. They could actually start looking at the posts. Now, you'd only have to do it for a few weeks. Start moderating some of the posts and get rid of the junk.
I think they're doing it. And I don't think they want to be public about it. Because I will tell you this. I rode the guys pretty hard on Twitter. I got to do a big Twitter beef with them.
Yep.
And they were giving me a hard time and tried to spin it back on me. But I wouldn't back down. And I just basically told them, like, listen, guys. This is for only 17 years old and above. 18 years and above. If you say this is for 18 years old and above, there's really no issue. They wouldn't do it. And the reason why I invested in Whisper and felt safe about it was because, one, it doesn't do your address book. So it's completely different, even though people put them together. But second, they're screening all the posts. So they're doing, from what I understand, I don't know this as an investor, I heard this from another person, that they've got people looking for specific keywords and randomly checking and deleting accounts that are doing vicious things. And it's for 18 and above. Now, impossible to enforce any age limit perfectly, but at least it's something. You're sort of publicly stating, like, hey, this is for this group of people. But I do think this is going to be, it's not going to end well.
What Facebook did with Real ID 10 years ago was a brilliant innovation and took us out of the age of AIM handles that were not real names, that could not be attributed back to people. And part of what we're trying to do is make the world more open and transparent, just like Facebook has been. And if we can do that through Connect by creating a real identity for every person, that's hopefully our eventual contribution.
What do you think of the people who argue against, like, hey, pseudonyms are necessary for some people who are in society potentially victims of harassment or abuse, or they need protection like a whistleblower and Edward Snowden?
We just don't need a mobile app to do that. To accomplish that. There's plenty of other ways to be anonymous, to report a crime to the FBI, to put something out there in the Washington Post. That's what journalism is about.
Yeah, you don't need to design an app for every single person on the planet to use every day to be regularly anonymous, to slander people or release information about the Yahoo Flurry acquisition.
Slander should just not be allowed in secret. Personally.
Yeah. I guess so.
It just shouldn't be allowed. They should get rid of every single slanderous
I think they're doing it. I have to give the guy, I'll tell you what, this is because I know the guys from Secret are going to listen to this, and I know my friends who are investors in Secret. Because this is the other problem with the Secret investment. Is a lot of my friends invested in it. So I got this whole thing now around the poker table or around going out to dinner with wives and whatever, where there's a group of people over on this side of the table who invested in Secret and can't shut up about it, and then a group of people over here who are appalled by the investment. I mean, I haven't seen anything this polarizing in the internet business. I'm trying to think of the last time somebody did something like this that was just so wildly polarized. I can't.
We invest in companies to make a positive difference in the world.
Isn't that the idea? Yeah.
And so hopefully together we can help create standards that will guide this app to something that will be used positively.
Yeah. It's bizarre. Hey, so connect.com.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a domain name.
That's right. Yeah.
How much you pay for that? How did you get that?
So Sony owned it.
Sony owned it.
They had a music store in 2006 to 2008 that competed with iTunes that never went anywhere. And so they shut it down in 2009, and we bought it from Sony for an undisclosed amount in 2012.
That to me feels like it's a lot of money for a domain like that. Like a 5, 6, it's got to be a 6-7 figure domain.
Definitely 7 figures.
Wow.
But it's I think it adds a lot of value to making it easy for companies and users to remember us. And I think it helps with raising capital. So I think it's more than paid for itself.
See, for me, anybody who goes and buys a domain name like that, is absolutely wasting money. I mean, inside.com, I'm joking.
I know.
Everybody knows I am totally into single words. I think you're 100% right.
It shows that you believe in yourself and your company and your team.
Yes. And it's hard to get them. So when I see somebody gets that, like com.com I invested in, right?
Sure.
And they actually went through the syndicate. When you see somebody bought 4-letter com.com, all I could talk about with Alex for the first 10 minutes of meeting him, and it was on the show a year ago, and then I wound up investing a year later, I was like, how did you get com.com?
Yeah.
When I met you, how did you get connect.com? People come to me now, how'd you get inside.com? The first question.
We called Sony every day for 6 months.
A Japanese company.
Yeah.
And you had to negotiate with the home office in Japan, or did you do it with the...
We did it with the office in LA, fortunately, but we almost had to go to Tokyo to get the deal done.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I was about to say, you're going to have to Yeah, that's not easy getting the domain from. What do you think made them? I mean, because they don't need money.
No, they weren't using it. They were going to sell it.
Oh, they were. Okay.
Yeah, it's just should they do an auction? Should they hire a broker? Our first bid was $200K. They weren't going to sell it for $200K, so they waited us out for 6 months until they got the maximum amount we could afford.
With Inside.com, my first bid was like 100, and then they said $1 million, and then I came back a year later and I said 25, and they said 100, and I said 60, and I said deal.
Got it. That's awesome.
Because I negotiated with a different person, and they didn't know the previous negotiation, so I was like, well. If I'm starting the negotiation over, the 100K is off the table. Let's try to 25 and see what happens. But it has made a difference for you guys,
Yeah, we're here to create a more connected world. Right. How could we not own Connect.com? I mean, if you think about it, LinkedIn's a good name. Facebook's a good name. We can either come up with another brand like Google, or we can build if you're going to connect Google, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Yeah, Connect.com pretty much works.
That's it.
So how are you doing with hiring? That's my last question. And it's total non sequitur, but the big topic right now in the Valley is the talent shortage.
Right.
You just raised money. You got big ambition. You got some decent amount of cash. You got a product that's doing very well. How do you deal with the talent problem?
Well, we're fortunate to have people from the Harvard network, the Stanford network, the Oxford network on our founding team. And so we're able to reach out into those 3 pretty good networks for both product management talent, engineer talent. We've grown from 9 people when we launched at launch to 14 people today. Okay. And so we're growing and we're hiring.
But not too fast.
Not too fast. You want to grow slowly.
Yeah, why is that? Tell me about that.
Well, think about it. I mean, your productivity per person goes down every time you hire another person. And so, Instagram that got bought for $1 billion a few years ago when they had 13 people. And so small teams of 10 to 15 people can actually do a lot.
Especially in mobile, it seems.
Yeah.
Why is that in mobile? At mobile, it's almost like if more than a certain number of people work on the product, it just gets clunky.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's my experience. I mean, at iContact, we get up to 300 people, and we had a 100-person engineering team, actually 90-person engineering team. And I'm finding that the per engineer productivity is actually quite a bit higher when you have about 10 people instead of 50 or 75 or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly where we're at right now at Inside, and 10 people on the development team. And it's amazing because if you add a third iOS developer or a third Android or a third or fourth web developer,
it's only a small increase.
It doesn't increase stuff. And you're like, wait a second, what just happened? We just increased by 50% the cost.
Yeah.
And we got back
10,
but we're having a lot more meetings.
Right.
And people are more confused.
Exactly. That's exactly.
Right? And I was like, okay, I think I would rather be 20% less effective and not have as many communications problems.
So we're a very mission-driven company with a big, ambitious mission. Yeah. So we've been able to attract great people. That said, we're always hiring.
All right, listen, this has been great. I could go on for hours with you because you're a smart cat. And listen, I'm really stoked to have had you at the Launch Festival. So thanks for launching there. And it's been great to be an investor and watch the growth. So it's awesome to be along for the ride with you, Ryan. And if you are interested in an amazing job at a great place, I always tell people the CEO tends to get first name at their domain name.
That's Ryan at Connect.com.
Yeah, so Ryan at Connect.com if you're an extraordinary app developer, backend, whatever. And you can follow Ryan at Ryan, A-L-L-I-S. Yeah. Alice, but it's French?
Yeah.
It is French. What does it mean? Does it mean something in French or no?
No idea.
Interesting. Yeah. C'est bon. Hey, thanks again to the entire team here at This Week in Startups, Jackie and Jacob. You guys are doing a great job. And thank you to WeWork and our partners for sponsoring the show. And if you want to be on the secret mailing list and talk about the show, twistlist.co, and you can join the private mailing list where everybody hangs out and talks about the show. We'll see you all next time on This Week in Startups. Bye-bye.